Are you a professional pillow fighter? Or a 9-to-5 low-cost time travel agent? Or maybe real estate sales on Mars is your profession? It doesn't matter. Whatever it is you do, however complex or intricate, Monday.com can help you organize, orchestrate, and make it more efficient. Monday.com is the one centralized platform for everything work-related. And with Monday.com, work is just easier. Monday.com, for whatever you run. Go to Monday.com to learn more.
Well, I don't see the point in waiting any longer. So let's bring her out. The star attraction, the one you came to see. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Miss Judy Gold.
You know, there's some guests on Kill Me Now. You know, I love all my guests. I wouldn't have them on if I didn't have them. But by the way, welcome to Kill Me Now. This is so special. Like, I can't even tell you how fucking special today's episode. It'll probably be a 5-parter because we can't shut the fuck up. Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, I could list his credits off, but they don't really do him justice. Tonight Show, Letterman, Comedy Central, Rachel Ray, Jimmy Fallon. He's does over 300 shows a year for the past 38 years, 37, 38.
Yep.
I don't even know what to say. This guy is a fucking legend. The one, the only, Joey Cola's here!
I'm here! Here I am.
Joey,
How am I going to follow that intro?
it's like, you're a legend. I mean, you're a legend, and you're beloved. You're probably the nicest guy in show business. The most generous. And you said something that I totally related to, and that was that your comedy is based in anger, but it's harmless. I think you're one of the only people who can take their anger and not, I mean, like, you know me, I scream at everyone. I'm like, what the fuck? You're not laughing at my joke.
I love that.
But you, because I'm a fucking 2-year-old, but you are someone who takes that, you turn it around. It's like G-rated. It's like so relatable. You know, it's a gift. I don't think any other comic has, because I think people believe that they can be angry, but then they don't want to offend, so they sort of take it down a notch. But you've never, ever sort of, I don't want to say take it down a notch. I think you've never lost any integrity. You've always been completely honest. You're just fucking amazing. You're amazing.
Thank you.
I don't know what else to say. And you know what?
I can't follow all of that. And I think you're giving me a lot more credit than I deserve.
Shut the fuck up.
But listen. All good comedy is based in some kind of anger.
Sadness, yeah.
All comics that I know have been beaten up somehow. So when you go all the way back to when they popped out of the womb, something happened.
But there's some that I don't think have been beaten up, like Jay Moore.
Well,
has he ever been beaten up?
I don't know him very well. But
I mean, I think of like these white guys who like I'm like, wait, he's good looking.
Yeah. I worked with a guy the other night. He opened up for me. We were up in the middle upstate somewhere or whatever, and he's a pharmaceutical guy during the day, and he just got divorced and this and that, and he's like doing comedy part time. So he really had no no material. He's doing all crowd work and everything, and no one wants to see a middle-aged guy dressed in nice clothes who's got divorced, hitting on the audience and having no material, and just doing crowd work.
It's such an entitlement that, like, I could do that. I could do that.
No, they can't. No, they can't. They can't do it. And I've been doing warm up for 25 years and stand up for 38 years. And people think, I get calls from 10 comics a week. I want to do warm up. You got to give me the warm up.
Oh my God.
And I go, you don't even know. It's like the Green Berets. It's not. So when you do warm up, it's not your show. You're
the second fiddle.
Yeah, you're the butler. You're the rodeo.
But there's no show without you.
Well, you got to bounce. You got to invite them to Judy Gold's show.
Right.
Hey guys, welcome to Judy Gold's world.
Not a lot of comics can do that well.
No, and it's very hard. It takes a lot of work. But when I'm doing stand up, then it's my house, and I can say and do whatever I want. I can be dirty if I want, or whatever. You know what I mean? So for 25 years, warm up during the week, and then whether it's sitcoms or daytime shows or whatever, even nighttime shows. And every weekend stand up for the past 38 years. So that's what I'm doing.
Now, I always go back to the beginning because I am fascinated with people's childhoods and what makes them who they are.
Yeah.
And often people are like, do we have to talk about that? But everyone has something in their childhood. But you were born in Brooklyn. You grew up on Long Island.
Yep. Born in Brooklyn. Well, my father was from Ridgewood, and my mother was from Williamsburg, and my mother's Italian. My father's German. Well, they're both gone. I'll talk about that later on. But they met. My mother was engaged to a guy for 5 years, and she said like shit to get off the pot, so she dumped him. I met my mother.
Did you ever meet the guy?
No.
Right.
But I did meet one of my father's ex-girlfriends.
No way.
Came to the friggin' Martha Stewart show. Was in the audience.
No way.
Yeah, she goes. She looks at me and she goes, I could have been your mother.
No way.
I go, what are you talking about? I dated your father before he met your mother. But my mother was engaged to a guy and she broke up with him and met my father at some dance or whatever up on Metropolitan Avenue. So when
life was simple.
Yeah, when life was simple.
Yeah.
They got married in 1960. I was born in 61. Here I am, 57 years old.
All right. So you grew up in Brooklyn, and a large.
Only 1 year in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Yeah. Then we moved to Long Island.
Yeah, we went to Long Island, and you were surrounded by relatives.
So, well, here's the thing. We were the first family to move to Long Island from the city. All my father's side, my mother's side, everybody was in the city.
Right.
So they didn't want to come to Long Island. They were like, we ain't going out there. It's a million miles away. So every single weekend, we would go in there. So I spent every weekend in the city playing hockey on roller skates with
Where in the
wheels.
city were you?
In Williamsburg on North 6th Street between Driggs and Roebling. It was my mother's side. We grew up mainly on the Italian side,
Right.
So
what happened to the Germans? They're just miserable.
Well, it was just but they were kind of it wasn't as tight knit. They were not warm as fuzzy, warm and fuzzy.
Well, hello.
Hello.
Listen, Joy, we want you to come to our house.
For some schnitzel.
You come, but don't talk.
So I was close to them too. There was some good people, relatives that I had.
Right.
They escaped, you might want to say, and got out of there and came over and
that's the Jew bell.
There you go, the Jew bell. I'm a good Jew, by the way, too. You know what I mean? I read. I'm very. We'll get into this later.
All right, but we're getting into a lot later. Folks.
I'm not religious, and I don't buy any organized religions. But I follow the teachings of the Torah, read the Quran slightly, and the teachings.
There's
of Jesus Christ.
lessons.
Lessons. So and every day I live by that. I believe in a God, and that's who I live for. Everything good moves through me, and I pray a lot. Like the whole time here in the city. Yeah, there you go. I pray all the way in here. I kept my cell phone off, and I prayed the whole way in here.
Okay, what the fuck? You kept your cell phone off?
Off the whole time.
That's
because listen. This is what I do.
I can't take it. It's driving me crazy. The fucking cell phone. I'm not kidding. It's fucking killing me. Like I go. I'm like, I got it. I'm in the middle of reading an article, and I'm like enjoying it, and then I'm like, I gotta check. But no. I hate these things. I fucking hate them.
Too many diversions.
You're on Long Island. You're going every weekend. You're going to be with your family, and you and your brother are sort of entertaining them. Is that how it happened?
Yeah, well, you're close there. What happened is my Uncle Ralph and my Uncle Angelo, my mother, my father, I had very entertaining parents.
I feel like I should play. Yeah.
So my Uncle Ralph played guitar, and he's still alive. He lives in New Jersey. My Uncle Angelo's in Queens.
Right.
But
I feel like I should have an Italian bell. All right, go ahead.
Right? They used to play guitar and tell jokes and stuff. Like our family parties, especially when they would come to Long Island, because it would be the whole group of them.
Right.
Because they would all come out. 30, 40 people would come out. And my Uncle Ralph would play guitar, and we'd sing and tell jokes. And it was really a beautiful time. It was like, you saw Billy Crystal 700 Sundays, right? Yeah. It was that. You remember his living room?
Yeah.
It was exactly Billy Crystal 700 Sundays in the living room. And we were all singing and dancing and drinking and eating, so we'd sleep over. It was the greatest thing in the world. And I realized that when my uncle gave me the microphone, he gave it to my cousins, too. I had cousins that became great guitarists. Right. Other ones sang. Other ones did this and that, who became an actress. But they tell Joey, tell a joke. So when you give a 4-year-old a microphone and they tell a joke and you get the attention of the adults,
forget it.
Then you're like, holy shit!
You're hooked.
I got them. Look, they're all looking at me. I mean, it's a good way. You know what I mean? So I started doing that when I was younger, and then I went through high school and I hung out with a few people that a bunch of my group of friends were all funny people. I wasn't the funniest by all means. There's still a guy named Tom Morano that's a friend of mine.
But he's not a comic.
No, he's a money guy. He's like a Wall Street type of guy.
Whatever. He's boring.
Billy Crystal said that time, the class comedian, the class clown runs across the football field naked. The class comedian's the guy who talked him into doing it. So that's that old cliche. But that's who I became, and I realized, as I got older, that women liked that to when you made them laugh.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Funny
so
trumps
thing.
Everything. So what number were you in your family?
It's just me and my brother. I'm older. He's younger.
You're the oldest.
Yeah. I'm 20 months older than him.
And were you popular growing up?
No, not really. No, not really.
I'm very
No.
into the. I was, the most unpopular. So
here's
I always
popular, and here
Right.
this was me here. This
Okay,
was
no
here.
one can fucking see that, Joey.
Well,
Okay,
I'm sorry. I was popular's here, and I'm 3 feet away.
Right.
Yeah.
But you weren't unhappy. Like did you?
No, I would go fishing. My mother, God bless her, Italian lady, about
Right.
4 foot high, and she would. And no matter what we pulled out of the Great South Bay,
You went
was
fishing with your mother?
Yeah, all
That's
the time.
the best.
Fishing with mom and dad almost every weekend at the
In a
Bayshore
boat?
Marina. No, off the dock. We couldn't
Okay.
afford a boat. We had like nothing. We had
Right.
nothing. My mother worked to her fingers to the bone until
What'd she do?
died. She worked at a plastics factory. She worked at a textile factory.
Right.
My father was a crane operator for Con Edison. We drove trucks for Con Edison.
Right.
Very, very working, lower to middle class.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So they would always work really hard. But she would always like be making the meatballs, singing and everything. My father was a singer, and they would love to dance together.
So it was happy.
It was super.
And they
duper
had a
happy.
good marriage.
And a great marriage, phenomenal marriage.
And did you fight with your brother?
Every once in a while, here
But
and
not
there.
like my kids who
but
have to punch
I
the
realized
shit
at a young
out of
age
each
my
other.
brother was a little bit crazy. He was
Right.
he's a New York City cop. He just retired. He did 25 years, and
Thank
he's a
you.
little bit nuts.
Thank you to him.
Yeah. So he's a little bit nuts. So I didn't
Right.
mess with him too much, and we're still very close to this day. I talked to him twice already today.
So
this morning.
Like no anxiety, no depression, nothing
No, there was.
growing up?
There was. Yeah. Of course there was. Because I was, I didn't, I when I was growing up, I looked like the kid from Deliverance. You know what I mean? Look at my face. Look what God
so
gave me.
cute.
Look what God gave me.
You're so cute.
And I got like a big puffy
Boo-boo-boo.
cheeks and everything. I wasn't the worst looking guy of my friends. I was the second to the
Right. Yeah, but you had the
worst-looking
best
guy.
personality.
I was a little bit. I wasn't afraid to be nice to people. 'Cause
Right.
The one thing I learned early on from my parents and from my relatives is that you just got to be nice to people. And I was introduced to the good parts of
Right.
of if you not. I don't want to use the word religion because I don't like
Right.
anything organized religion, and I don't go the Pope
Right,
and the
right.
Vatican, all of that
Right.
stuff as far as Christianity is concerned.
Right.
But I learned how to the two things just to be nice to people.
Right.
Early on in my life, and that it came back to you. So I learned that from good people. So when I got to being in the comedy industry, I realized the nicer you. I go, this is a simple gig because I was a foreman on a Lodi Dock and Italian bread
Right.
factory, and I was really busting my ass while I was going to college,
Right.
while I was going into not only the Long Island clubs because where I lived, but I was one of the few comics because Peter Bales told me he used to
Right.
work at the Strip with,
Right.
with Paul Reiser and Seinfeld
Right.
and Wolfberg and all of those guys. Peter Bales told me years ago, he goes, dude, this is great, but you
gotta
wanna be a
go here.
comic,
You gotta
not
go
only
to
got to go to
yeah.
the city, but you got to get in the car and you got to go on the road.
Right.
So I learned from the best. And back in the 80s when we were going, there was a few cities that you could stay in and make a decent living.
Right.
Chicago, San Francisco, Boston, here, around Texas, if you bounce around.
Not LA,
Houston,
though.
Not LA. Not LA was too widespread out.
Yeah.
And you can go to the state of Florida
Right.
to pick up Bennington's rooms and a couple different rooms
Right.
and one-nighters along the way.
Right.
So that's the way I
All right,
did
we're
it.
not even there yet.
No.
So, you're a kid. You're happy. Do you feel? Do you feel like you're poor? Do you feel like?
No, no.
Was your school same socioeconomic for everyone?
Same, just about. Yeah. Well, there was a South Shore of Long Island. If the kids
Right.
came from by the water, they were richer. I came
Right.
north of the tracks, so
Right.
my closer friends were a little bit not. We had less, but we
Right.
still did okay. I'm a white kid in America.
Right.
Hello. You know what I mean? I still did okay.
Positive. So positive.
You know, I'm fine.
I know you're a fucking great
Fine.
guy. So really, you had a happy life. Like
Well,
there's no.
I was born with my legs backwards. Let's go back
Okay.
to that. My legs are backwards.
Okay,
I
how
wore
did we
braces.
miss that?
I don't know. I just got on it now.
I
for
just
some reason.
realized my legs were. Yeah.
I was born with my legs backwards, so I had to wear braces till I was 4 years old.
Completely backwards, like your
Completely
feet
backwards.
were facing the wrong way.
The wrong way. So they had to
fucking way.
They had to break the legs, bring them back around, take the arches out. I'm more flat foot than like Fred Flintstone.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they had to break the arches, bring the feet back around. So from the get-go, I was fucked. You know what I mean? And when you go through certain pain at a young age, it's like looking
How
at the dog.
old were you when they did the backward?
From born to 4 years old.
Wait, do you have pictures of you?
I have one picture of me with the braces on. Other than that,
but no
to this
baby
day-
picture when you came right out?
No. And my aunt says that my parents got rid of those pictures. They didn't want to be reminded of that time in my life and their life. So there's one picture of me with the braces on as a baby and dressed up. up and everything. I was like 2. So we got the legs back.
Do you remember any of this?
No, but I know my legs are messed up now. When I do 3 shows at Rachel Ray now, I'm limping out of there because I got leg problems. That my parents were told 3 or 4 times in my life that they should invest in wheelchairs because he's never going to walk. And so as a kid, I went, fuck you. So I played baseball and football.
They never. That's so great
they
that they never said
that.
Joey, be careful.
No,
that was Jewish.
That was
Joey. You can't be on the baseball team.
I want to hit
Italian.
The bell for Italian too. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to do an Italian bell today because it's just so similar.
Yeah.
So and up until 4, that's when it was completely
up until
corrected?
4 was done, it was completely corrected, and I became like a normal kid. I went to school, public school.
Did you have pain, or did you?
Not that I remember. No. But then everything was fine. Normal kid growing up. Then at 9 years old, because we lived out in the big show was the boondocks. At 9 years old, not that I want to get on sicknesses and health, I get a tick in my head. A tick.
Oh my
God. Now I am on a vendetta against ticks. I raise quails now to fight them. On Long Island, I got a tick in my head, and I got Rocky Mountain spotted fever. And nobody, it was the only case in New York. No one knew what it was. So I had symptoms of pneumonia. I was dead. I was on my deathbed. My father put his hand on my head, and he because they cut my hair short for some reason.
Right.
And he looks at and he sees this thing hanging out of my head, and he says, "What is this thing? It's got legs." Doctor sees it. It's a tick. So they instead of just burning it out, they pull it out. The head lives on.
Oh my God!
The head lives on.
How stupid are you fucking assholes?
That's right. So the head lives on, so they pull that out. Then they got to dig in my head to get the tick out. But I had a Rocky Mountain spotted fever. To this day, and I'm 57, I was 9, I still have like joint problems and problems
what the fuck?
From a tick.
Wait, so if he hadn't shaved, if your father hadn't seen that, forget it?
Dead. I had 105 fever for 6 days. I couldn't move.
Your
I couldn't breathe.
Parents.
Yeah, I weighed like 50 pounds. I was completely a mess. That's why I'm a little bit chubby now. And I do remember that because I remember being at home in my living room and sickly, and then became anemic, and then I did get pneumonia after that. But to this day, I carry that tick. Now I'm on a vendetta against ticks because people only hear Lyme disease. There's 43 different diseases that this thing carries. It's Rocky Mountain spotted. It's the Lone Star. It's Powassan. It's all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And besides the Lyme, so I'm involved with a guy right now, a biologist, Eric Powers on Long Island. We have.
Is he Jewish?
Yeah. No, he may be. He may be. He may be.
Right. Yeah.
And so. I cannot with you. I cannot. So anyway, we have the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts and the kindergartners and first graders.
Right.
You remember when you got an incubator when you were a little kid? Oh, let's hatch the egg. And it's a duck or a chicken. And you take the duck and the chicken. You know what happens? We have them order from Murray McMurray in Tennessee, Bob White quails, which is the natural predator. They used to be all over Jersey.
And they eat all the ticks?
They eat their body weight in ticks a day. A day. So we have the kids raise them till about, a little bit, so they're 2 inches high. Then we put them in a big barn with heat lamps and food and everything. We raise them till they're adults. And every July around between 8th and the 14th, we open these barns and 3,000 of these things go out to Caleb Smith State Park. But now we got the seed program. It's on the South Shore.
Great.
We're bringing them. We're trying to get them at Fire Island because Fire Island is loaded with ticks.
Go to New Jersey.
We're going everywhere we can. As a matter of fact, all the news outlets did a big story about him last year.
Wow.
So
Eric Powers, baby.
Yeah, Eric Powers, your connection to nature.
Were you good in science?
Yeah, really good in science.
I hated science.
I like biology. I liked all of that stuff. Anyway, so I digress.
All right.
So back to childhood. Rocky Mountain spotted fever. Went through my teens.
All right. So you're having a lot. You did have shit.
My
but
father,
you had a strong family connection.
That's what I'm getting to now. Because my father, as much as he worked as in Con Edison as a crane operator and everything, he made the time to come home and play baseball with my brother and I. He became not only our baseball coach, but he became the president of Bayshore Brightwaters Little League for 7 years.
I can't with this.
I grew up on the baseball fields, laying the lines and raking. So you know what I mean. So
raking, like Trump said we have to do.
No,
rake?
Don't even get me started
asshole.
with that.
No, sorry.
Don't even.
All right, sorry.
But he, oh my God. So anyway, my mother worked in the auxiliary, the concession stand, and we were all about baseball. And it was a great childhood. Then I went to upstate Brockport State.
Wait, I'm not done yet.
All right.
Lou Costello was your.
I love Lou Costello.
That was your...
Yeah.
What did you watch growing up?
A lot of cartoons. Bugs Bunny's my favorite.
Right.
Mel Blanc, because Bugs Bunny is a combination of Brooklyn and the Bronx, the voices. So between that, I'm a big Disney guy because I used the Wonderful World of Disney and all the Wild Kingdom and all of that stuff. I lived in a fantasy world. My favorite movies to this day is still It's a Wonderful Life and It's a Wizard of Oz, because you got to bring people have to remain a child. They have to remain childlike.
That's the thing that no one realizes.
I walked in this building. I'm down there. There's all these suits on their phone and this and that, and it's not even about money.
Right.
I was on the phone with somebody yesterday. I don't want to mention a lot of names, but somebody who we all kind of know, and is a multi-millionaire.
Jewish?
No. Okay. But a multi-millionaire.
Right.
And in show business. And every other word was money. It's over.
Shut up.
Friggin'
Who cares?
over.
Don't you have enough?
Am I going to be all right? All right, pal, dude, you could buy 1 million houses. You got to... Anyway, where were we just before I jumped on that?
Well, I was saying Lou Costello, Disney.
Costello. Okay, so my heroes are character people. Vincent Gardenia, Jack Lemmon, Alan King. I got to meet
I love Alan King.
And who is from my part of Brooklyn, who my grandfather was Major. He worked for Major Bose. My grandfather was the Major Bose limo driver.
Oh, my God.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt's limo driver.
No way.
Yeah, swear to God. So Alan King, Vincent Gardenia, Jack Lemmon, the character people.
Right.
Lou Costello.
Yeah.
I like the short little fat guy and the character guy, and that's kind of what I am. I mean, I know who I am.
But it's so great to be able to, turn on a TV or listen to an album or listen to the radio and go, oh, I identify with that one.
Yes.
That's my sort of type,
Yeah. Because all my relatives are that. My Uncle Ralph is that. My Uncle Angelo is that. I mean, these people are not...
and everyone knows one. Everyone knows a Lou Costello or an Uncle Angelo. Yeah,
exactly. And you know what? They're harmless, Judy. They're harmless people. When you're in their realm and their aura...
Please, I grew up I grew up in New Jersey. It was half Italian, half Jewish. I loved the Italians were like, come in my house, eat, come, stay, don't leave, eat more. I mean,
People that talked and hugged.
Yeah.
That's what I do. I'm very huggy. And to this point, like to the point where it's like...
that's why the German part of your family didn't want you to come over.
Well,
Joy, stop touching me.
Go over there.
Joy, can we get Joy out of the house?
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Make another smart choice with Auto Quote Explorer to compare rates from multiple car insurance companies all at once. Try it at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
You went to community college and then graduated from CW Post, correct?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
in economics and finance.
Yeah.
And why'd you study
a minor in theater? I took a minor in theater. So when I was at Suffolk Community College, I was in 2 plays. So and then
what plays?
The Adaptation and The Real Inspector Hound. Elaine May. I did so.
And you loved it?
Loved it. So because I knew it was some performer in me, and while everybody was, remember in college you were doodling things on you. I was writing the names of comedians that I love and I want to meet someday.
Right.
And I've met and worked with almost all of them.
Right.
So I was going to college. I was working part-time at an Italian bread factory, and that was it. And at that time, I was going to the comedy clubs that opened up. I started, originally, I did for Augie's Baking Company.
Okay, we're going so far ahead. You graduate.
Right, I graduated.
Are you the first in your family?
Yes. Of that.
Is that
to get a big deal. Big deal.
Like crying? Did your parents cry?
Matter of fact, you hit me right there.
Oh.
My Uncle Fred, my father's younger brother, who was very close to me in a spiritual way, and he was in the army and stuff.
Right.
when I became the first one of the family, both sides, to graduate from college, he went way out of his way to make sure my life was going to be great.
Oh.
He passed away at 42 or 44 of a heart attack because he smoked and ate a lot.
Right.
And he was in his pool, and he had a heart attack in the pool, and he fell and drowned. He was alive for like 3 months after that with his brain problems, but he was very, very close to me. And everybody was kind of like, yeah, he graduated from college, but my Uncle Fred really knew what that meant because he wanted to be that guy, like in It's a Wonderful Life, George Bailey, but he had to go in the army at that point, so he knew, so he was always right here.
That's so great that you had that.
Yeah,
that's actually a great way to die.
Yeah, what a heart attack in the pool?
Yeah. My father had a heart attack in the pool and died too. But I mean, come on.
If you're going to go, you're going to go. And you want it to be massive quickly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't want the...
One time I was in a situation where somebody got mad at a bunch of comedians, and the guy said, I'm coming down there, and I'm bringing my gun. And I said, do me a favor, dude, put one right there. If you can.
Yeah, because I can't. I already had the leg shit, and I had the pneumonia.
Tick in my head, forget it.
So you graduate college, and then your work, is it Largefield Manor that you worked at?
Larkfield Manor. Where are you getting all this? Oh my God,
do.
You did more homework than anybody I know.
So you work at Larkfield, and they're having
that was the Christmas party for Ogie's Baking Company.
Yeah,
and I had no act at all.
And they said, come, and you put on a white suit or something?
I put on wow, holy shit, you know all this stuff.
I do research on my guests. I love my podcast.
I put red velvet pants on, white shoes, red socks, a pink shirt, a red tie, and a white jacket and a top hat. By the way, I will not wear red again. Because one man killed the whole color for me. So anyway, I do this ththing, and I'm doing impressions of people that work.
You had no act, so you just started imitating everyone. First laugh.
Marty Rubin. My friend Marty Rubin. Joey, when is the bread going to be ready? Joey, I need to get it to meat forms hot. That's what he would do. So I did an impression of Marty Rubin.
Was that the first?
Loved Marty
Rubin.
The
first laugh you got?
First big laugh, yeah. Because everybody loved Marty Rubin. He was old. He was When he was born, he was 80.
Right,
you know what I mean? Bony, and so he walked around with his elbows up. Yeah. And that was the first big laugh. And then it was all like...
And then it's out-of-body experience.
It was all these Italian guys who owned the place. So they were like, hey, no, he's a comedian now. So I'd made fun of them.
Right.
A la Richard Pryor and his making fun of those guys. You know? So not those words, but it's the same type of thing. So that was the first gig I did, but it wasn't comedy club related. It was just doing 15 minutes at the company party.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I realized, you know what? Maybe I can do this. Then life changed. At the same time, ironically on HBO, Seth Schultz did a documentary about Pips, about Marty Schultz, Seth Schultz, and brother. George, who managed David Brenner.
Right.
So he did a documentary. And
Pips was in a comedy club, by the way.
Pips was it. Pips was it.
In Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn, on the water, on Sheepshead Bay. And it was the original comedy club in the country. Right. It was called Folkways Cafe, and Robert Guillaume sang there, and Joan Rivers, and Landisberg.
Right.
Klein.
Right.
All of them in there on a regular basis. Seinfeld, young Seinfeld, Dennis Wolfberg. Bang, 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 bang.
Oh, God, I loved him.
Dennis Wolfberg,
nicest guy ever in the history.
I can't
sweetest.
That's another beautiful thing about this life that I've had, is that I can go back to great memories, and I spent time with some of the greatest comedians. I mean, when I cherish my Dennis Wolfberg moments, my Richard Jeni moments.
Yeah. He was great.
All the way up to my Greg Giraldo moments. I can't even begin to tell you how much that means to me.
So fucking much. I was talking about this last night, that I went to a play, and then we were having dinner in the Village, and I was lamenting about how like when you used to go out to dinner with your friends, the waiter or waitress was part of the meal, was like, hey,
I got a guy, my guy Joe at King of Myrtles in Elmont.
No more.
I go there to see him.
Right. It's not like that. And then I was in the Village, and our generation, like I had the whole AIDS thing. You dealt with the AIDS thing.
Right.
And then it's just a lot of people died. And it was I
had relatives and close friends that died of AIDS,
Yeah, and it was an awful time that you're in your 20s going, well, this is just, we die in our 20s,
Yes.
And then I get this waiter comes over, and I'm trying to joke with him, and it's like there's no fucking connection anymore.
No one's making a connection anymore. Nobody. That's why
a lost art.
When I just walked in your building just now,
right,
there was a doorman there, and he said,
the best.
Okay, sign in. And I went, right there, I went, nope, boom, that's not the way this is going to happen. I said, hey, man, what's your name? And he said, Shay. I think
right, he's
Shay.
a really nice guy.
Shay, nicest guy in the world. And I said, did you eat lunch yet? And he goes, nah, man, I just had 2 great slices of pizza. He goes, man, I wish I had one. So it was a block away. Get the guy a friggin' size of pizza.
You made him so happy.
I get him pizza. The guy, you thought I gave him gold.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
changes a fucking person.
Exactly.
And I walked in, and he goes, he was already here. He went out to get some. So I go, he's the greatest guy, right?
That's what you got to do. And nobody's taking the time because everybody's rushing around.
Well, everyone's on their fucking phone looking at how many fucking followers
they have. The cab ride I just took from Penn Station to here, my cab driver, and I was really nice to him. How's your day going? Blah, blah, blah. I mean, not that I want to be annoyingly nice because that pisses people off to him, pisses me off. But this guy, hearing him scream at people that were in the way, and I was like, dude. So I gave him a nice tip, and he's like, oh, man. I go, dude, slow down.
Yeah.
We're all dead in a half hour.
Right.
In a half hour.
God damn it. You got to get a poster. We're all dead in a half hour.
We're all dead in a half hour.
Yeah.
People quote me as saying that, but we are. It's not about this.
Right.
Whether you're a Jew, a Muslim, a Christian, no matter what it is, what color you are. God doesn't.
More in common than not.
And listen to this sentence. Ready? God doesn't care who you come with or on.
Right.
Nobody gives a shit about your sex, what you're doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's about this and this. That's it. I'm pointing to my heart and my head. That's what it is.
Right.
Your genitals have nothing to do with it. You want to. Doesn't matter who you come with and who you have sex with.
And it's not it's just about loving another person.
There you
fucking
go.
Piece of shit.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you take the time to love nature too.
Nature's amazing.
Nature's amazing.
All right. All right, so you're at Pips. Wait.
Nature's amazing.
It is. Nature is fucking amazing, and they're fucking killing it. They're fucking killing Mother Nature. The climate change. Like, I can't You know it's going to be.
Yeah,
well,
I know.
Okay. All right, so... All right, so here you are.
So I just got out of college, right?
No, you're at Larkfield. You do the thing. You're like, I can do stand up.
That's in Northport. I did stand. I can do stand up. Let me go to Pips.
You went to Pips before Eastside?
Yeah. I'll tell you what happened. I see the documentary that Seth did. And Seth and George and I became friends, and I met George before he died, and Marty, the oldest son.
Right.
So I learned about it. I said to my parents, I go, I think I could do this.
Right.
I think I could stand with a mic and do it. I've done it at
And
family
what did they say? I'll be you. Mom, Dad, I think I could do this.
If you think you could do that, we'd be proud of you no matter what you did.
Oh my God, I love them so
whatever you did, you got our support. To the point where I would come home from gigs in the middle of the night and I'd have a note. The comics on Long Island used to call me the angel of anxiety, right? Because I was always, when I was younger, I was bouncing off the wall.
because you've changed so much since then.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So there was a note on my door one time, and because what I would do is I'd get up early in the morning, I'd go to college. I'd go to college all day, in a change in the car to go to the bakery, and I'd be a foreman at a loading dock in the Italian bread factory. 100,000 loaves. It was a factory. 100,000 loaves.
Do you still love bread?
Love bread.
Love
and I know
bread,
a lot
too.
about it,
Yeah.
especially
About
Italian about it. So Italian bread, the crust, and how much yeast has got to be.
How much do you hate gluten-free people? Go ahead.
Hate that, and I don't even like semolina. I like a nice loaf of Italian bread. So I did. I would get up college, Italian bread factory, and then change in the car again and go to. You could yawn. Go ahead, yawn.
It wasn't. It was like
There's no air in here.
No, I know, but it was more.
So anyway, then I'd go to the comedy clubs, and I'd go to Eastside Comedy Club. Now here's where I saw God. Richie Minervini to me is
I'm doing
God.
a Jew for
there
God.
You go.
Yeah,
good. I find out, not only do I find out about Pips, but I find out about the East Side Comedy Club. Which
was on Long Island.
On Long Island, Huntington, Long Island. Richard Minervini was the owner, and everybody used to work it. Eddie Murphy was there, Bob Nelson, Rob Bartlett, Bobby Collins, Jackie Mason was there all the time because he knew Richie Minervini. I went in on an audition night. Rick Messina was a bartender. Tony Camacho was a bar back.
Oh my God!
And Jeff Sussman was a bus.
Oh
a
my
bus
God!
Boy,
Yeah.
all right? These are big. If you don't know who this is, these are
look them up.
Heavy names in show business, especially Long Island comedy. And Rick Messina manages Tim Allen and Drew Carey, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I go in there one night, and it's an audition night, and Peter Bales is hosting the night. And I go in there, and I say, can I get my name on the list? Can I go up?
I think it was a Tuesday night,
Tuesday Tuesday night or Monday night, something like
Yeah.
it was Monday because the Long Island Laughter Company used to do it, and Rosie
Okay.
was in that with Bob Nelson
Yeah.
and Vinnie Mark and
Okay.
them. So anyway, I got on and I said, and I learned early on that you just talk about things that piss you off. You know what I
Right.
mean? I did 5 minutes. I come off the stage at the Italian Bread Factory. I was making $65 a week because I was getting paid $3.90 an hour, a minimum wage. Richie Minervini handed me a $20 bill for coming off stage doing 5 minutes.
Wow.
And he said, you were great. Can you come back every week and get on this audition night, and we'll see if we can get you in the mix. Not only those words resonated with me, but the fact that I had to work all week carrying 100-pound bags of flour.
Right.
I was in the best shape of my life, but flour and dirt and I was a mess. And this guy, a $65, he hands me a $20 cash.
Okay,
I saw God.
I have to say something. The fact that you got we have to explain to people. You know, people think, oh, you make so much money. First of all, we still make $25 per set during the week
For 15 minutes at the city clubs, yeah.
At city clubs. It'll go anywhere from 20 to 50.
Yes.
Depending on the club. 50 is really high for a weekday set.
Yep.
Still. So that's number one.
Yeah.
Number two, when I remembered the East Side and no one would pay the women, which was so, except at Comedy U Grand in Soho.
Yep.
They had a Thursday night and they paid us each $5. The fact that you got a $20 bill from him,
was
God bless him.
amazing.
God bless him.
And unless they put together a woman show.
Right. Yeah.
Which
It was always like women could not go on, and it was a special event. Yeah.
And I was around when at a groundbreaking time when Bernie Young, who was marrying. I love
Bernie.
Shirley Hemphill. I'm still very close to Bernie.
Me too.
He managed
I love him.
Rosie and Shirley Hemphill.
Right.
He was managing Shirley Hemphill.
Right.
And when Shirley Hemphill came to the East Side, this woman does not get the credit for breaking down barriers. Black women, every barrier was broken down by Shirley Hemphill, and who Rosie.
Emulated,
admired.
Right.
And from Bernie Young, exposing her not only in the clubs, but putting a person on the stage who's not afraid to talk about every little fucking thing. About, yes, here I am. Here, I could talk about, do my fart jokes, my shit jokes.
Not afraid.
I could do political jokes, yet here I am, and look who's saying it.
Right.
Look who's talking into that
and look
fucking
who's
microphone.
making you laugh.
That's right. Hello.
So
I was around the clubs at that time at East Side Comedy Club. Richie handed me the 20, and then I said, I'm coming back every week doing this. So it made me write.
When did you get into the rotation?
It only took a couple of weeks. And I was in the rotation to do an audition stuff. And then I was picking up one-nighters. At that point in the 80s, there was one-nighters everywhere.
You know, that's
Top
what
of the
people
town in
don't
Huntington.
understand. Like, I started right after you. You're the class before me, but because it's like you and Roe and, you know.
Right.
And I was, like you, I think we have a similar work ethic. I also was like, I got to go everywhere. I got to go everywhere and get on stage. And the 80s was the primo time to be a comic. I remember I would do happy hours at 5, 6 o'clock down on Wall Street, then go to an Indian restaurant on 43rd Street, with a Bugs Out, and then go wait at another
and
club.
book your own side rooms.
Right.
I had my own back rooms of restaurants that weren't being used.
Right.
I said, I want a four-wall list.
Right.
How much you want? Give me $200 for the night. $200. I charged $10 a head.
Right.
I get 100 people in it. There's my $1,000.
Right.
I paid my friends. I still walked away with $250.
Right. And you were actually one of the honest ones. But it was a time, and I remember I used to go out to, because a lot of the New York comics wouldn't go to Long Island.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck that. I get 20, 25 minutes. Like, that's fucking amazing. And I'd go to, remember Jimmy's Comedy Alley?
Of course. I got story. I don't know how much time we got.
We have
but
a lot of time.
I got to, okay.
Okay, so you get in the mix, and you're like... you're really known as a Long Island comic, but you did start coming into the city.
I was doing city rooms. The only one I did not do was the comic strip because Lucian Holt. I auditioned with Joey Vega. A bunch of us auditioned one night. And first of all, let me backpedal a little bit. I was going to East Side Comedy Club.
Right.
Then I still didn't lose Pips. I still wanted Pips.
Right.
So I called Pips and I talked to Marty Schultz. Bing. And he said, well, where do you work in the city? I said, well, I do Long Island stuff, but he goes, no, when you get a city club, let me know.
I know. That's so annoying.
Then I called the Improv, 9th and 44th, and I get not silver, but I get whoever was working for silver at the time. There was a guy named Larry or Lenny or somebody like that. There was a guy.
Yeah, and silver.
And so I call them, and they say, well, where you working in the city? I said, well, nowhere really. I said, well, when you get a city club,
and
it's
then
fine.
Once you got a city club, it's like, oh, you're working there. Don't come to our fucking club.
No, well, this would happen. No, just the opposite happened to me. I lied. I just got on the phone with Marty again, and he goes, where you working? And I go, I do the Improv. He goes, okay, then come down on Wednesday and do a set, and we'll take a look at you.
Right.
Call the Improv. Where you working? I'm doing sets at Pips.
Right.
I come down on a Tuesday, and we'll put you on. I lied to both of them. Got sets at both places.
Wow.
Now I shied. I worked the Improv, the original Improv, but I was so intimidated. When I walked in there, not only had Richard Pryor done Live and Smoking a few years before, but when you walked into the Improv,
forget it.
It was the 10 Mount Rushmores of the greatest comics in the world, and all of them, by the way, of note, all of them paying homage to Richard Lewis.
Right.
Because Richard Lewis, people don't know, was the guy. The guy. I mean, I'm talking...
And the nicest guy.
The nicest guy. And... everybody, Seinfeld, Reiser, Curb Your Enthusiasm,
Larry David, and Boozler was on last week, and
love her.
and she talked a lot about
And if you went to if you went to
I can't
Catch,
remember his name now because I'm so used. Richard Lewis.
Richard Lewis, yeah. So and if you went over to Catch, it was all, and people don't know these names.
I know.
It was all about Ronnie Shakes.
I remember. Ronnie Shakes was such a great comic.
Yeah.
Tonight Show. Dies running at a fucking gig in Ohio.
Yeah. So you never know when your number's up. So
Wolfberg was there too.
Wolfberg was everybody was
Belzer
there.
was there.
Everybody was there. Everybody.
And the music acts. Benatar used to go. Oh yeah, it was the fucking
and, Mario Joyner. And everybody.
Mario Joyner.
And Ron Darien took me under his wing. And Abby Stein and Adrian.
Oh yeah, Adrian Tolsch. God bless her soul. Yeah.
We're on here. This is basically a comedic thing,
right? But
people, they go, "Oh, I want to go to a comedy club." They don't know who they're going to see.
Right?
Invest in this history that we have.
Right?
No one's ever wrote a good book about what we've done and we've witnessed.
Right?
And no one's ever done a good movie. Punchline was the closest thing,
right?
And that wasn't even scratching the surface.
The funniest part of Punchline was when
lockers in the
locker room. And I'm like, what the fuck? Locker room? I've sat in bathrooms waiting to go on. Fucking here's the office, and then the bathroom's right here. You can sit in between, and in kitchens and fucking shit. You don't have any idea.
The Rainy Night House in Queens when fucking Lenny Schultz comes back and he's got his girlfriend, and me and this guy Scott Anderson from are opening up for him over there, and we go back it was a broom closet, a literal broom closet, and Lenny comes back with a friggin' squirt gun with milk in the thing, and he hands the gun to shoot the tits, shoot. You know about that thing? He hands the gun to Scott, and we're shitting ourselves.
Right.
And Lenny's going, shoot him.
My God.
She goes like this. Boom, boom, boom. He's shooting her breasts with the thing. I go, Lenny. He goes, funny, right? Funny, right? Lenny, please don't kill me. I'm a comedian. Right. I just want to do 10 minutes and get out of here. And I see Otto after the week after. Otto said, did he have you shoot the so anyway. I'm digressing. I'm getting off point.
So you're doing both clubs. And then you go on the road as well, correct?
I'm doing Pips. I'm doing city clubs now. I'm banging around. I'm not even sure if Caroline's is open. Dangerfields was there. Who's on First was there.
I love that.
Any little back room in the city. Any little back room around Brooklyn. Prime time on 4th Avenue and Bay Ridge. Remember prime time? And any little room you could do. We're driving everywhere. I had a 1985 Nissan Sentra because my other cars broke down that my cousin co-signed for me. And
having a car, by the way, was a key to getting work.
And road work. Yeah. Because once you realize there's Philadelphia and there's Boston.
Right. And the Catskills.
Yeah, and the Catskills. And the Catskills. Yeah. Mousy Lawrence used to put me at the Pines.
Oh, yeah.
Once a month.
Right.
Can you come up and MC at the Pines? And Browns, whatever side rooms they had before they were closing up. Mark Barris, rest his soul, he died in a car crash, jumped me in up there, and I got to meet Lenny and Panette and all the Boston comics, Jackie Flynn and all of them, and they jumped me into the Boston scene. Then I got to actually go to Chicago with Nick Carmen, who was living here at the time, but he connected me up to AJ Delantini and Bill Gorgo and a lot of those guys in Chicago. So I got to go to Chicago and work that. I actually drove to Cleveland. I slept in a cornfield. I drove because I wanted it so bad. So we called Shoemaker from Philly, and me and Steve O. You remember Steve O?
Yeah.
He's Steve Oakes now. He's semi-retired out in California. We're still like this.
Yeah.
And me, him, and Melvin George. And
I love Melvin.
And Bizarre. And at the time it was Dave Feynman and Freiberger and John Rice and all of us, Andy Pestano. We would all be hanging out. Hal Spear, another guy.
Yeah.
And
a lot of women in this group, by the way.
I know, right? Well, Patty Rossbo and I are still very good friends, and so is me and Carol Montgomery are still very good friends. And Carol, I was working at Pips with a lot too.
Yeah.
But so anyway, I jumped in the car and I picked up one nighters on the way to Cleveland because I wanted to work for this guy Dino Vince. Turned out to be a big,
cokehead.
The clubs were all about a lot of cocaine in the clubs. So I stayed clear of any kind of pot, any kind of drugs or drinking or anything like that. Once I realized you could drink for free, I said it would kill me. And I've seen people go. Woodsy was a good friend of mine. All of those people. So I've seen it work against you. So I pulled the car into a cornfield. It got dark, and next morning the sun came up. I backed the car out of the cornfield and drove all the way to Cleveland just to get an audition set, which I wound up I didn't want because he didn't even pay me. I did 10 minutes. He goes, all right, if you can get back here once a month, I'll give you a spot, but it's only like $40.
Fuck you.
I can't do it
and
for $40.
And then you drove back.
Drove back and realized that, you know what?
I can stay here and make a living.
Exactly.
This week's episode of It's Judy Show with Judy Gold is sponsored by BetterHelp. And if you know me, which I think you do because you're listening to my podcast right now, you know that I am a big advocate for therapy. I think it benefits everyone. I think there's so many people who need it, who don't partake. It is so important for your emotional health and well-being. Therapy is fantastic. It is in every stretch of the imagination. And if you're thinking of starting therapy, please do it. But please give BetterHelp a try. It is entirely online. It's designed to be convenient. It's flexible. It suits your schedule. You fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. I have switched therapists in my life. I've had many, many therapists, and sometimes it's not a great fit for you, but don't give up. Therapy is beneficial. You can learn about yourself, you can process, and just be emotionally healthy. I'm telling you, do it. BetterHelp is great because, when I used to schlep to my therapist's office, it was so annoying. You have to do it, and you sit there and you wait, and then I'm telling you, doing it online is fantastic. And BetterHelp is amazing. I know a lot of people who've used it. So if you're thinking about therapy, go to BetterHelp.com. Let the gratitude flow. This is Gratitude Month, people. So you need to let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/JudyGold, JudyGold, today, and you will get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/JudyGold. You're welcome. How did you become close with Rosie?
Rosie and I,
she was Long Island.
Yeah. So, and she didn't have a car. Sometimes she didn't drive. Rosie came from,
and you used to sing in the car.
Oh my God, we used to sing. Nobody sings like Rosie.
Right.
I got turned on to Broadway because of Rosie.
Right, of course.
And we both had a lot of similarities because my mother loved Barbara Streisand, and her mother loved Barbara. Yeah. So we would sing in the car the whole time. Like, how comics talk about gigs and how we would turn the radio on and just sing the whole time.
Same. I just posted a video of me and my girlfriend Elisa, and it's me screaming at some fucking bitch who came in the HOV lane, and she's the only one.
I saw it.
And Joe Mulligan writes, brings back such memories. The amount of car rides with my guy comic friend, it was just,
I actually had to go to Utah, Iowa with Joe Mulligan years ago.
Yeah.
We did Bruce Willis and Demi Moore owned a town called Haley, Iowa.
Oh my God.
And we did a place called the Mint. It was horrible.
Ugh.
And every sign in the store said, "Congratulations, B&D and B&D owners."
God.
It was so friggin' tacky.
I hate that shit.
But
All
he knew him anyway.
So Rosie, you were like headlining.
No.
You were
no.
middling?
I was an MC. I only middled for 3 months of my whole career, and I'm going to tell you why.
You went from MC. I know why, but you'll tell everyone else why.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
Okay, so you're MCing, but Rosie at this point is headlining.
Rosie's headline.
Yeah, and you're driving her and opening for
Rosie.
her. Yeah.
Rosie didn't have any TV credit. The only thing she had was the Star Search thing at that point. But Rosie was so strong, doing improv and so relentless on stage. When you talk about, years ago, Carol Leifer told me when I worked at the original Treehouse when. I was working with, I think I was opening up for Elaine Boozler.
Right.
And Carol Leifer came to see Elaine Boozler because she's friends with Jeff Sussman. So anyway, we were all there backstage. And I got to pick Carol Leifer's brain a little bit. Right. Who's, to me, is just...
Great.
Nobody better.
Yeah.
She explained to me vulnerability. This is before I took my acting classes with Joanna Bexon.
Right.
She explained to me how you have to be completely vulnerable, which is one of the things I admire you. From the moment I met you, and you know how when you see somebody you fall in love right away. I fell in love with you right away. It really took, and there's certain people that you have that. And another thing, when you wanted me to do your podcast here. This is a career. I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass. This is a major thing for me. This really means a lot. Because I fell in love with you in the first 5 seconds I saw you, because I saw a totally vulnerable, relentless person that had nothing. You were fucking Braveheart. You were, and I'm standing there and I'm in the back of the room in shock, like going, "You can do that?" Not only you can do that, but those laughs are stronger laughs than everybody else in the room has been getting. You can get here's a laugh, here's a chuckle,
right?
But when you come at an audience, not harmfully,
right?
But you come at them, you stand your ground, you hold your ground, you step to them and challenge them. And do it in a funny way, and then it elicits a wail of laughter.
Right.
I said to myself, "That's what I want to do." And you were one of those people.
Thanks.
Jenny, Nelson, when he was doing his characters like that. But people say to me, well, "Who are my biggest influences?" I say generally, I say 3 Richies and a Dom. Right. Richard Pryor, Richie Minervini, Rich Jenny, and Dom Herrera.
Oh, Dom, the best.
Dom is. I was on the phone for an hour the other day. He doesn't even come to the edge of the stage like you do. He doesn't even there isn't fire coming out of his nose. He leans all the way back, almost frigid, and he elicits those laughs. Now, if you're a good comic and you're a scientist and a wordsmith, you will figure out, no matter how much time it takes, how much work it takes, you will figure out what it takes to get to that level.
Right.
That's missing now in general.
Absolutely.
Not to put any. I don't want to be a millennial bachelor or whatever it is. You know what I mean? But that's missing now to a certain extent, because it's so watered down now that they get a laugh and they're out.
There's also this fearlessness, and it's like if I open myself up, they'll trust me more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you. Like I would write a joke that I thought was funny. It wouldn't get. I'll be like, "Come on, God, were you fucking kidding?" I was such a baby about, but it was honest. Like it's about the honesty.
Everybody shits. That's it.
Because they're so afraid to be,
They're afraid to make themselves vulnerable. Meanwhile, when you look at it, the ones that are the people in the society that are most attractive are the ones that are vulnerable.
Right.
They're the ones that are
fearless.
Exactly. You have to be fearless and vulnerable.
So you're driving around with Ro. So you MC.
I would bring in a person. Richie had a club in Pennsylvania at that time. So I would drive her there.
Yeah.
I would drive her. We did a gig in Connecticut. We did a gig in Westchester.
Yeah.
Camacho had Wally's and deep in New Jersey somewhere, and I would drive her there. But at the same time, doing gigs with her at Eastside and Chuckles and whatever. Right. I mean, one night at Governor's in Levittown, I was emceeing Rosie Middleton, Leno closed.
Oh my God!
So that was like a monster set. Right. They had no idea what they were seeing at that point. You know, so that was going on. 84. I started 80, 81. So I kept banging around the one-nighters, picking up rooms here and there, going to college to the Italian Bread Factory. So I was doing that. And then in 1986, I get a gig. You want to go there?
Yep.
In 1986, I get a gig called Comedy Stop at the Trop down in Atlantic City, and I'm finally
remember the condo, remember it all.
Oh my God! But this condo was actually the first one they had because it was where the Golden Nugget's not even. I don't even know what's there now. It became the Golden Nugget. Was like near it anyway. There was. Condos, and they're on an angle. These two buildings that are on an angle all the way to the right on the boardwalk, and where they put you was one of those condos, and it was me and the other two comics, Adam Leslie and a ventriloquist guy who had a duck, and I was emceeing, and it was my first real road gig, and my mother my father didn't like to gamble that much, so my mother would get on a bus by herself from Long Island. $10 in free chips. Right. Go by herself, play the slots, get back on the bus, and come back. Right. But she's like, Atlantic City's a big. Right. If you ever get to Atlantic City, I got to work Atlantic City, Comedy Stop at the Trop. I was emceeing, and so I get the gig, and it's a real. Now I'm in show business. Right. Because even amongst my family, because I have an aunt that. Up until recently, she would look at me and go, "So you got this gig, you going on the road? Yeah, they put you up." So unless they...
Oh, please. My mother used to till the day she died. You getting paid? No, Mom, I'm not getting paid. I'm doing it for free.
So,
go ahead.
If they put you up, you were somebody.
Right.
So anyway, I get this gig. I'm in Atlantic City. My parents were really proud of me and everything. This was the October 18, 19, 20, because my birthday is on the 19th, which was a Friday night, Saturday night, something like that. I don't even forget. 1986 this was. So I drive down. My girlfriend comes with me, who's now my wife, and she's staying with me in the condo. And it's a beautiful condo. I remember Dolly Parton was below us.
Wasn't it a three levels?
Yeah.
That condo?
Yeah, it was like a level and another level that the headliner got. Yeah. And then there would be, we had separate bathrooms and everything. So I remember Frank Sinatra had a condo above us and Dolly Parton was below us. Right. And it was really a big deal to the point where I wanted to show my parents this. You got to see where they're putting me. I only have one room in the place, but at least they're putting me in a place. Yeah. So anyway, she came with me. She stayed with me, and we did shows all week. And now the weekend here, so my parents come down to visit. Now we had breakfast the day they were leaving. They came to see me on a Friday night, and they were in the audience, killed. I had a great time, just emceeing, you know what I mean? My 15 minutes and 5 in the middle. And then I bring up the ventriloquist, bring up this guy, Adam Leslie, he's a comic. And then the next night, next morning, Saturday morning, we have breakfast, and we walked the boardwalk, and then we went and had ice cream. And then it was like mid to late afternoon, and I said goodbye to them. They got in the car, and they packed up their stuff, and they were like, all right, I'll see you home. All right, I'll call you tonight. This and that. So we go back and we have dinner, my wife and I, with girlfriend at the time, and then we get changed, go to the show. Show starts, and I do my 15 minutes up front, looking right at the seats where my parents were sitting the night before, and I do my 15 minutes. I bring up the middle act, and backstage a call comes to Bob Kephart, who was the owner of the club, and he gets the call that my parents were in a very bad car accident.
I remember this.
So he puts his hand over the phone. It's my mother-in-law calling the back of the club, saying, talking to him. Everybody's hysterical. My girlfriend's there. She's hearing everything. And at the same time, as an MC, I hear in this ear, that's my time, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome back Joey Kola. So I just get the news that the call said that one of them was probably killed. So now
and you didn't know which one.
Didn't know which one, and I jumped back on stage because that's all I knew. That's all I got is my balls and my act. That's all I got. I jumped back on stage, and I got the 5 minutes I'm doing. It's modular. It's 5:15 here, this modular bit, and the bit was about my mother waking me up one morning to find out what time I had to get up. Right. I did the bit looking at the seats that they were in the night before. And I don't know if I did the whole 5 minutes because it's all a blur. Right. But I know I did some time enough to go, ladies and gentlemen, here's your headliner, Adam Leslie. I brought him up. jumped back, and then I just stood there like this. So my wife was like, come on, we got to go. We got to go back to the condo, pack our shit, and get home. Now, I had a little Nissan Sentra 4-cylinder that my cousin co-signed for me. We jump in the car, I go back, but my wife said, listen, my mother said that your brother said, don't go to the hospital. It was on Route 110 in Amityville. Don't go to the hospital. Things are very bad there. Just come right home. There's a million people at the house. There's relatives, there's friends. It's the middle of the night now. So we get to the house, and we get out there, and I don't go to the house. I go to the hospital. There's my mom. Yeah. My mom is banged up. She's alive, but her eyes are flapping up and down. She's not there. Her body's alive, but her mind she's not there. She's got tubes in everywhere. There's still blood everywhere. So I flip and lose it. And then talking to the doctor, and she's in a coma. So my father's 4 stories up in the hospital, and we can't tell him because he's in bad shape what's going on. So anyway, my wife drives us home. We go back to the house. Did
you see your father as well?
No.
Okay.
No, he was still like kind of knocked out. It was middle of the night at this point. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning at this point. Go home, a million people in my house.
Which is the last thing you fucking need. But,
well, everybody from the city, it was at my house. Everybody from all over the place was at my house. And all my friends. Now, remember, I'm young now. I'm 24, 25, so I got high school friends, college friends, neighbors, like everybody. And we were like the mayors of the neighborhood too. Like my brother and I had parties that 5,000 people. If you had a good speakers in your truck, we'd take the truck and back it into the yard. But it was like crazy. Anyway, it was a lot of people at the house. So she's in a coma. We can't tell my father. Long story short, that was my birthday. And then she waited till the 20th and then died at 1 o'clock in the morning on the 20th. And then my brother and I had to bury my mom without telling my dad. So the whole time he was like, how's mom doing? We're like, oh, mom's doing good. Mom's doing good. Meanwhile, we're going through the whole funeral.
That's fucking horrible.
It was the worst of the worst thing. It was my worst nightmare come true because remember, we love our Angel of Anxiety notes on the thing. You know, my mother was... If a newspaper boy came to the house and it was cold without a hat, he left with a hat.
Right.
That's what I grew up around.
You are her.
Well, thank you.
You are.
That's the biggest compliment I could ever get. But my father was like the same way. You know what I mean? Like he would. He was like I mean we think of German and we make fun, but he was a very good-hearted man. Right. He didn't see race. He didn't see anything. Like when he coached Little League, I remember there was this kid named Curtis Jackson, and we were growing up, and he was had some
mental issues?
Yeah, challenges. So, and I remember him taking me, my brother, and my mother, and some other kids through a really bad neighborhood. You know what I mean? Not bad neighborhood, but it was an African-American neighborhood where we really didn't feel comfortable or welcome. But we went to their house and brought them food and had a barbecue there for that. And I was like, holy shit. Are you, Dad?
What a great guy.
Dad, are you nuts? Are you out of your mind? He goes, it doesn't matter. We're here. I like these people, and this is whatever happens is going to happen, But I'm putting good in front of it. Let's lead with good, and then if bad happens, we'll deal with it. And that's the way my parents were. You know, they led that way. You know, even the Germans. The German side of my family is more Italian and actually have more Jewish traits than anything that I could.
Well, they probably have Jew in them.
I bet you they do. Yeah. I bet you they do.
So
anyway,
I remember this. I mean, everyone in the comedy community knew this.
Even Dennis Miller, because shortly after that,
he's not
shortly after that, I opened up for him at Fordham University. He got to the gig, but then I had to drive him back. And driving him back, he was part of Saturday Night Live. He even mentioned, he goes, "Dude, you're the dude whose mother just died, right?" And I explained it to him, so everybody knew about it. Rosie really took me under her wing, too, at that point.
So that was a big thing for all of us. And, I mean, more not even comparable to you. But I was always, when I had heard that, I thought, he probably feels so guilty. You know, the guilt. Had I not been working, had I not, like, the questions and the shit. And
they came to see me in Atlantic City. And if they weren't there, it wouldn't have happened. But then I realized that it wasn't my fault.
Right, at all, zero.
Turns out my father was epileptic. and really didn't tell anybody. So he had some seizures before that we knew about.
Right.
And he said he was cut off, but he had an epileptic seizure and crashed into a tree on the side of the Southern State Parkway.
They could have been driving in the...
Could have been anywhere. But the real thing is it was my mother's time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Whether it's a bullet, a bus, a flesh-eating disease, OJ jumping out of a bush.
Right.
When your time is up, your time is up.
How do you think that changed you as a comic?
Again, now I don't want to sound macabre or anything like that.
No.
I can't explain a strength that came over me. At that point I was emceeing. Then first of all I was in bad shape because at that point people go, "What can I do to help you?" I said, "I'm having problems sleeping. Bring me a bottle of NyQuil."
Right.
Can you bring me some NyQuil?
Yeah.
I had 10 bottles of NyQuil in my bed that I was drinking.
Right.
When I say drinking, I mean like someone would drink a bottle of water. Boom. So I was self-sedating, and that was it. That was it, because my mother and I were like this.
Right.
I mean, like really, really close. My world revolved around cooking, and she taught me how to cook. She taught me life. My father did too, but my mother and I were very, very close. So I said, that's it. This is it. Now it's just figuring out how I'm going to get out of here and when, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then I can't explain it, but something came over me and overwhelmed me that I felt this strength of I was looking out my dining room window, which is where in the house where my mother would cook and all the food would go. And after she passed, my aunt was at the house, and we were looking for this spoon, and we couldn't find the spoon. And all of a sudden, my aunt finds this spoon, and we were like looking for the spoon because it was all decorative and innately. That's my mother's spoon. And again, I don't believe in any kind of psychic or any kind of bullshit happening, but there were certain things that happened. But more importantly, the sunlight was hitting me in a different way. I started to notice more things about like nature and people, and look in. Up until then, that really didn't happen. I really looked between your eyes and discovered us as individuals and us as a people, and then us as a planet, and then I tried to apply or figure out where this one life can add to whatever this is. And then for something told me, your thing is making them laugh. No matter what bullets are being shot, no matter what drugs are being done, no matter who's hating who, you have this thing,
your job,
where you could pull them take their minds off that, and maybe pull them over here for a little while. And if you pull them long enough, maybe they'll resolve whatever they got going there. So,
it's interesting because, there's a whole Jewish, the whole Jewish religion, Tikkun Olam, is healing the world, which is what we essentially do.
And self-healing also.
And I remember, I also felt strong, the strength I think I got after my father suddenly died. I was 27. I remember nothing ever from that point on had an effect on me on stage. Like when someone, because I would get, I love to talk to the audience, and I'd be like, "Oh, what's going on?" And people would be like, "You know what?" I remember once I was at the Comedy Store in L.A. and I'm like, these people were talking.
I saw you do some shit at the Ice House. That was insane.
But I said to this girl, I go, "What are you guys celebrating?" They're like, "Oh, well, she has cancer. She's getting her leg removed tomorrow." And I'm like, "Oh, all about you, isn't it?" I just made up this whole, and it was because when you go through something like that, that there's nothing you can't laugh at. And I think that makes you. Sure, I mean, I've had people. I had a group. They were out. The mother just died. They're like, "We're trying to laugh," and you're asking us questions. I'm like, "Oh, but it's like you're in a club of like, oh, I get this. I get that life goes on. And that we don't have to ignore it, and that we don't have to not talk, and we can laugh, and that nothing. You know what I mean?
The quicker you could put down the "I want to be cool" situation, and realize it's not about being cool; it's about making a connection. That's the fast. Now you're on the fast track.
Don't forget to tune in next week to Just Kill Me Now.
Just Kill Me.
Oh. Don't forget to turn for part 2 on Just Kill Me.
No, it's not. It's
Just Kill Me.
No.
Judy Gold's Just Kill Me.
Kill me
now.
Just Kill Me Now.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. At Mint Mobile, we like to do the opposite of what Big Wireless does. They charge you a lot, we charge you a little. So naturally, when they announced they'd be raising their prices due to inflation, we decided to deflate our prices due to not hating you. That's right. We're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.